All right, so our group did Dogfish Head, and this is what we put together for our marketing audit. So a quick overview of Dogfish Head. Um, they started in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. They were founded by Sam and Mariah Kalanoy. Um, they started off as the smallest commercial brewery in the nation, um, and they kind of tried to go for something a little different when it comes to being a brewery and not just a brewery. So their mission statement is explore goodness because they want to have a very adventurous type of crew or customer base. And this also leads them to their slogan, off centered, which basically means being a little bit different from the rest.
So just to overview the organizational structure, Dogfish Head began in summer 1995 with the goal of bringing original food, beer, and music to the state of Delaware. They would do this with the opening of Delaware's very first brew pub in Rehoboth Beach, and at the time, Dogfish Head was one of the smallest breweries in America, and they did everything to retain this identity as their business progressed. However, they would eventually gain the support of one of the bigger corporations as they would merge with Boston Brewing Company, the brewer of Samuel Adams, in 2019. Since the merger, both companies have retained their own separate identities with little interference from each other. Both companies have also gone on records to say they feel strong with the support of one another. And the founders, Sam and Mariah Calagione, still remain in charge of Dogfish Head after the merger, and Sam will also be joining the Boston Brewing Board of Directors this year. And next slide.
While observing Dogfish Head's marketing strategies, we saw the company targets an off-centered lifestyle. They use the term off-centered on everything, including their social media bios, their posts, emails they send, and even their website. Targeting a specific group of people is a form of psychographic market segmentation because they are specifically marketing towards a lifestyle of being off-centered. While a company built its brand around its brews, they have a large product portfolio ranging from beer, sprites, cocktails, clothing, koozies, and even having its hand in offering services such as inns, restaurants, and distillery doors. Dogfish Head uses a family branding strategy while marketing its products by keeping Dogfish Head as the focal point, but giving each individual product its own name as well. They also have their brews being created all the time, with an innovation brewer named Dan Weber stating that they make about 2 new brews a week. When determining the price of these new brews and products the company offers, they take the market price and its own efforts into consideration. For example, when creating their IPAs, they use different hopping processes, including 30, 60, 90, and 120-minute processes. The longer the process takes, the more expensive the brew tends to be. They also stay relative to the price of other companies in the market to stay competitive. When creating ads for their products, our company tends to focus on the quality of the product and the features rather than on the price of it specifically. For example, with the new Campfire amplifier brew, they made an Instagram post highlighting what the brew has to offer and the main ingredients used. They also use email subscriptions to learn more about what the customers are looking for and what they're interested in by viewing the open and click rates of their emails. To distribute its products, Dogfish Head uses a network of over 100 wholesale partners around the USA. While they distribute to a ton of places, they have not made it to every state yet, but they are in a large amount of them. The wholesale partners take the products and distribute them to anywhere from restaurants, beer stores, pubs, and anybody else who inquires about them. Next slide.
Some customer trends that were found throughout the firm's environment is the demographic of Generation X and millennial customers over the age of 21. The company can reach their target demographic by using social media to blog about their new or upcoming beers, their latest deals, and just to simply remind their customers that they have the best products. The customers that buy Dogfish Head's products are adventurous and outgoing people, so they further use their social media to post pictures that obtain to their target demographic. Some important economic trends found within the firm is that Dogfish Head has collaborated with many companies to further their success. On May 9th, 2019, Dogfish Head expanded their company by partnering with Boston Beer Company. They went further by joining forces with Indigo Agriculture and Brew Regional, which is the first traceable beer to address climate change throughout Indigo Carbon. On September 16, 2020, Indigo Carbon created a program that provides growers with financial incentive to store carbon in their soil. So Dogfish Head and Regionale gives their customers an opportunity to give back to the earth with every pint and can consumed. Most recently, on September 29, 2020, Dogfish Head collaborated with Rise Up Coffee and started selling their coffee blend at their inn. And while merging with these companies, their total revenue has increased tremendously through the past couple years. It rests between 100 to 200 million, and their partnering company, Boston Beer, reported over $1 billion in annual revenue. Some legal and regulatory trends involved in the firm is the founder of Dogfish Head went against the beer purity law that originated in Germany. It defined the ingredients that can be used to make beer, but he rebelled against that and began experimenting with beers, quote unquote, exotic and fresh culinary ingredients were involved. The top two competitors to Dogfish Head are Bell's Brewery and Elysium Brewery. With their annual revenue being higher than Dogfish Head's, the breweries compete with who sells the best craft beer products. Elysium Brewery was founded in Seattle, where the culture is super important, so they have the advantage of finding customers who are into bold art and music. And Bell's Brewery lines up summer festivals and concerts to lure in locals and tourists. They consider themselves a neighborhood brewery with the potential for national reach because of their target demographic. But Dogfish Head has the upper hand when it comes to customer health and satisfaction. Dogfish Head Brewery pursued health-conscious beer connoisseurs by incorporating a beer made with superfoods that offer nutrition for those who prioritize a healthier, active lifestyle. Elizabeth?
So there are many different things that make Dogfish Head as successful as they are today. One such thing is their reputation. Its commitment to quality is recognized by customers everywhere. Many customers know that they can always expect the best quality from its products. Another strength is its strong distribution network. Selling beer in 48 out of 50 states makes sure that its products are easily available to many customers. The small size of Dogfish can also be considered a strength. The fact that it is a small and private firm allows the company to take chances with its brewing and promotions. Large public companies must focus on making a large profit and considering shareholder needs. So Dogfish Head can progress at its own pace and work on its own agenda. This also connects with another strength that Dogfish Head exhibits, which is innovation. As Tavin previously mentioned, it is constantly creating new flavors for the public to try. This innovation allows for Dogfish to keep up with the ever-changing demands of the market. So while Dogfish Head is doing many things right, there is also a lot of room for improvement. One weakness is their follower engagement rate. So on social media, Dogfish Head has a high presence with an average of 300,000 followers. Using its Instagram account, Dogfish has an average of 1,745 likes per post, which is only 0.44% of their following, which gives them a very low engagement rate. This is much lower than other companies, such as the Boston Beer Company, who has a rate of 3.51%. Although this may not seem like much, even the biggest of Instagram influencers only have about 4%. Having a low engagement rate means that there is a disconnect between what the company is offering and what the user is expecting. Another weakness is their prices. So for Dogfish Head to be innovative and provide these high quality drinks, its prices are a little high. Typically, the beer retails at $52 for a case, which is far above the $35 per case average for craft. These high prices make it difficult for the company to compete with larger companies that can afford to sell at lower prices. These prices may lead to a loss of consumers, as many may choose to switch. So another weakness is its size. Dogfish Head doesn't have the physical assets to match the sheer size of its competitors. Not only does Dogfish have to compete with other craft brewers, it also directly competes with all beer brewers in general. It doesn't have nearly as much market share, money, or national preference. For an example, Anheuser-Busch has about 75% of shelf space in stores that sell beer. So that leaves about 25% for Dogfish Head and all other companies to compete for the remaining space. There are many opportunities for Dogfish Head to expand. One is one current trend in today's market is the beer consumers' preference for quality beers. More individuals will pay extra for better quality beer. This is great for companies that thrive on business from beer connoisseurs. So another large opportunity is the merger between Dogfish and the Boston Beer Company. Dogfish now has an increased market share, which helps to gain economies of share and increase profits, and also reduces competition. So while there are many opportunities for Dogfish Head, there are also many threats that make this very difficult. One such threat is its competitors' control over the supply chain. The laws regarding beer distributions, as Kate has previously mentioned, favor companies with more power and money. This creates an obstacle for a Dogfish Head to be able to continuously distribute its products. Another threat is when large corporate brewers attempt to increase their market share. So Green Valley Brewer Company was created by Busch to capitalize on the growing market for organic beer. This leads to less market share for smaller companies. There has also been a stable profit in the craft brewing industry in the last couple of years, which has led to an increase in competitors. This puts a downward pressure on profitability and overall shares. So if Dogfish Head adjusts to these price changes to keep up, their revenues could be reduced. But if they don't adjust, there could also be a loss of market share. Next slide.
Recommendations for strategy improvement. Dogfish Head, although a creative and prosperous company, does have some downfalls. They have a huge weakness of social media within their social media pages. Their brewery engagement on their social media is very low and very inconsistent. A recommendation that we have for Dogfish is to find perhaps their friends and family to take a look at the Dogfish social platforms using several ways. First, they could follow, like, and tag three friends to be entered to win a prize. They could do a collaboration with outdoor-oriented companies to bring demographics to their brand, which involves like games, turkey trots, maybe cleanups around the bear areas, and several other plans that they could implement. The reason why we have more engagement on their social media is important because the more engagement, the better chances they have in being looked at, first of all, and being explored on the explore pages on Instagram and perhaps Twitter. Dogfish marketing strategy has revolved around staging directives in which will build relationships between customer and producer via social media demographic environments and the production of the company's beer. We also noticed that Dogfish Head's social media was keeping updated with current events and holidays. There are many national days that relate to the company's industry. National days are a great tool to display the business personality and create conversations with their consumers. According to the publication, which we use to get insights so that Doghead could use, this publication will help bridge the gaps between the company and the customers. Singling out market segments for growth and expansion, as well as protecting an existing market position against competitors, will help Dogfish separate and identify which segmentation will do better for them. First, we need to shift emphasis on product, price, and promotion and supply chain to target special marketing groups in which company does moderately attract people along the Bay Areas. Secondly, we need to generate reliable customer feedback so that the product developers can coordinate their efforts to improve the product's image, meaning trying to be more active on their social media platforms and being active in the community, as we said earlier. Another recommendation for the company is to grow the company so that you can be able to distribute more products and take up more room on the shelves, enabling them to have more of a face-to-face potential customer base. Having a large amount of shelf space will show customers that the beer is a popular beer and deserves to be bought. Furthermore, avoiding threats of your company facing in this indistinguishably commodity situation by accurately defining differentiation strategies and being aware of which products may not necessarily sell well. Finally, we suggest that these meaningful options for growth as a way to evaluate market data and pinpoint variable export markets. The excerpt used serves as a good benefit to get insight and help us with it. Help us know that these strategies will work well with the company. Next.
All right, so the reason why we make these recommendations is because we want Dogfish Head to be more noticeable in stores, which is why we recommend the shelf space. And then the stuff about getting more engagement on social media platforms is because we want to make more loyal customers so that they keep coming back, because obviously the beer industry is an industry that has extremely loyal customers, and these customers often don't stray from what they would usually get. And with that, we hope to get Dogfish Head to sell more product, which would eventually grow their business even larger and larger and larger, while also keeping that hometown feel of having that hometown brewery that can also have a large reach across the nation and possibly internationally eventually.